Current member of the Chicago Bulls Big Three, is speaking out on Patrick Williams and how he's played as of late. We also have Billy Donovan and Zach LaVine's relationship may be beyond repair. We're going to break down all of this in this episode of Bulls Digest. I'm your host, Joey Mercer, and before we get into it there today, I just want to say that about 92% of you are not subscribed. We're looking to hit 1,000 subs by Christmas, and it would mean a lot if you enjoy what you're watching to go down below, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bells for notifications, and you won't have to search for this content anymore. When we get updated, you will be updated from the Chicago Bulls, everything that you need to know on the team. And this is the place for you if that's the team that you're following, or if you need to know some inside information on them, look no further. So without further ado, let's get into the first topic of today. And it is actually high praise from Vooch. So Vooch is the member of the Big Three on the Bulls that has spoke out on Patrick Williams. He has talked about how recently he has played a lot better with Zach not in the lineup. And it's good to see Vooch kind of taking a leadership role there and really speaking out on Patrick Williams and giving him some praise because he has played great as of late and deserves to hear it from his teammates instead of just the media or his coaches. It's nice to hear from a fellow teammate that you are playing very well. The article that I found this was from Sports Illustrated saying Nikola Vucevic says the Chicago Bulls are a different team when Patrick Williams is more aggressive. An aggressive Patrick Williams is good for the Bulls. And I have to agree, he really turns down a lot of shots at times. And it's better for him to look aggressive out there, take the shots. He can hit tough shots. He's hit some shots that you wouldn't expect a player that is considered to be around the caliber that people put him in right now to hit some of the tough shots that he has or have that in his bag, so to speak. But he definitely does and needs to take those shots more often. To start out the article, it said, after a horrendous start to the season, wherein he played subpar basketball and got yanked out of the starting lineup, the Chicago Bulls' young forward Patrick Williams has seemingly turned a corner this season, and his teammates have noticed, saying the team is a lot better when the former Florida State star is playing with confidence and aggression. And that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to be able to throw his body into people a little bit more, attack the rim, and not be afraid to take a contested jumper when need be. Do not settle for weird looks. That's not what I'm saying. But he can rise up over smaller defenders, and he has showed us that he has a little bit of a post fade as well, and is starting to get that more comfortably into his arsenal. Next thing we saw was he is no longer overthinking. A lot of pressure can mount on the shoulders of a player whom many fans expected to take the team and the franchise to new heights. After all, Williams was picked 4th overall in the 2020 NBA draft, way ahead of guards Tyrese Halliburton and Tyrese Maxey, both of whom are expected to be named All-Stars this season. Now, I found it kind of strange that they mentioned the two of them. Halliburton was seen as a very good college player, but definitely fell a little bit outside of the top 10. I believe he was around pick number 12. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure about the number on top of my head, but Maxey was towards the end of the first round. So Maxey wasn't even seen as being a starting caliber player, but more of a role player, best situation. So he is playing well above where his draft is, and you don't really know when these players come in. However, I do agree top 5 picks are seen to be starters right away, but that doesn't mean necessarily that everybody picked in the top 5 in a draft is supposed to be a superstar or all-star. They all have different roles, and you might get a guy that's a defensive specialist that doesn't get enough credit towards his game to make an all-star team because it's stacked seasons or at his position, and that needs to be taken into account. I understand that Patrick Williams is not on the level of those guys at all, but just basing it on the where they were drafted is really a small thing to talk about. It's a small sample of where you expect a player to be. I don't really like to go off of that. I just like to look at situations, the opportunities they're given, and Patrick Williams has capitalized as of late, and I think that he's played up to where he should be as of late. He definitely had some subpar seasons, but has shot the ball much better than people thought that he would. So it's kind of, he's just a different player than people thought he was going to be coming in. They thought he was going to be a Kawhi Leonard clone, and he isn't that player at all. He is a above average defensive player that isn't elite at that, and can develop those post fadeaways and mid-range where you can shoot over the defender if they're a little bit not as long or tall as you. But he is a much better three-point shooter early into his career than Kawhi was. So it's a little bit of a different archetype than what we thought from him. Is he seems to be more of a 3-and-D guy as opposed to a guy that's going to create some shots inside or slash to the rim with his length. The next thing I saw in the article was that pressure was not lost on Williams, who buckled under it and failed to live up to expectations. He began the season on a massive slump, averaging about 6 points, 3.5 boards, and an assist per game, on god-awful shooting splits of 33% from the field and 26% from three-point land. However, he has found a way out of the slump and is making more of an impact on the court. His last 9 games have seen an uptick in Williams' performance as he averaged 13.9 points, 5.7 rebounds, 1.6 assists, a steal, and about a block per game. He has also shot the ball better, making 53% of his shots, including 45% from long distance. We've actually talked about that recently on the channel when I mentioned potential trades for Patrick Williams being acquired by the Washington Wizards, and that he is playing so much better since Zach LaVine has been out. I'm not saying that LaVine is a bad basketball player by any means. He's a great offensive talent when it comes to shot creating and shooting. However, he is not as good of a playmaker as we once thought that he was. He used to play point guard, I don't know if you remember, in Minnesota, but definitely isn't suited for that position, which is why he's more of a 2/3 right now, and is definitely a ball-dominant scoring guard. He just doesn't make others around him better. He is really a guy that's going to go out and get it done by himself. And that doesn't mean that I think any less of Zach LaVine. It just means that he's not the player that needs to be next to Patrick Williams. And we really need to figure out where we want to be in that situation. I think that's very important for the Chicago Bulls to do. Now we go into the part where Nikola Vucevic actually talked about Patrick Williams. He said, Pat's been really good the last couple of games. You can tell he's more confident, more aggressive. He's not overthinking. He's just using his instincts and playing well for us on both ends of the floor. We're a different team when he's doing that. We actually recently talked about Kobe White stepping his game up, and Vooch said the same thing about Kobe White and added that he seems to be a bit of a leader in the locker room. This is great to see from a young guard. Vooch has been very vocal about the younger guys and how they've been playing so great as of late, and that's exactly what you expect out of a veteran former All-Star player, and Vooch has played a great role in that, which is one of the reasons why it's great to have him on the team right now. You might not like how he plays on the defensive end, but he adds a little bit of variety on the offensive end, has played great as of late, is a great rebounder, and is great in the locker room from what we can see, so that's why Vooch right now should stay on the team. The next thing that we saw in the article was, when Williams isn't getting in his own way, he's capable of stuffing the stat sheet on a regular basis, like the game he had against the San Antonio Spurs, when he had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. I think he started to realize just how good and how talented he really is. And when he plays with force, he's so strong, so athletic, so physical that he's hard to guard, especially when he's getting downhill, when he's crashing the glass, and he's only scratching the surface, Kobe White said, of Williams' potential. So nice to see Kobe White actually coming and speaking out of Patrick Williams. It's nice to see him talking about another young guy on the team and how he's really stepped up. And that goes towards Vucevic's comments there that we talked in the Kobe White video about he has been a bit of a leader for the guys in the locker room, which is nice to see. He's trying to step up as still a young guy in the league. Last thing we saw in the Patrick Williams stepping up is from Elias Schuster, coming out saying arguably the most encouraging game of Patrick Williams' career last night. He shot 8 for 11 and scored at all 3 levels. The best, though, was seeing him go 5 for 5 at the rim. No hesitation in attacking and transitioning and moving hard off the ball. This is a guy who's figuring it out. And I gotta agree with Elias there. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, or Elias, I'm sorry if I mix up the name there, but it makes a lot of sense. It's very good for him to drive to the rim if you're shooting that good. 5 of 5, absolutely perfect. That, of course, was in that game against San Antonio Spurs about a week ago, but it is nice that people are giving him his roses and really committing to the fact that he is playing great as of late, is efficient, a good defender, and that's exactly what we want to see out of Patrick Williams, as he seems to be figuring things out for sure. Now, the second topic we have today is falling apart. So this has to do about the Zach LaVine and Billy Donovan relationship. Is it too far gone? Is it past the point of repair? Well, that's what we're going to get into and talk about right there now. So when I first read this article, it was a little bit foggy whether I wanted to believe it or not, but from what I can tell, things seem to be true right now, which is not exactly what you want to hear between the coach and your star player. The headline of the article was actually Bulls rumors, Zach LaVine, Billy Donovan's relationship professionally broken. There's reportedly no going back for Zach LaVine and Billy Donovan. It then led to say in the article, sorry that I skipped to that first, saying the Chicago Bulls 2023-24 NBA season is headed down the drain, and with trade season ramping up, there will be more pressure on the front office to quickly decide on what it would do with disgruntled guard Zach LaVine. LaVine already looks checked out with all the losing, but that is not the only reason why. According to Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times, LaVine's relationship with head coach Billy Donovan is professionally broken. So that's not good to see. Zach hasn't been in the lineup. I mean, we know that we've been winning games without him. We're 5-2 without him, and that's not what he likes to see. I mean, if you're a player out there and you're supposed to be the star of the team, you would like to see the team is winning with you, not without you, and that seems to be what happened in Zach LaVine's case, and he is definitely disgruntled with that, and not exactly just dealing with it the right way right now. He's been so up and down with how he's treated the team towards the media, been behind the scenes, and it's been so up and down, a roller coaster with Zach LaVine before he gets traded here. So it's uncertain right now if it's the best situation with how he's been around the team to keep him around, which is another reason why I think they're trying to push for a trade right away. Next thing we saw was, this essentially ensures that Zach LaVine will be on the move soon, or perhaps the Bulls could also move on from Donovan, or maybe both will no longer be in Chicago by the time the season is done. Regardless, this is just a disastrous situation unfolding in Chicago right now. And unfortunately, I have to agree. I mean, Billy Donovan, I don't think he's the right coach for the job, but he is really locked down under contract, and it's more difficult to get rid of him as opposed to trading Zach LaVine right now. So I think it would just be the LaVine move. I can't see the Donovan firing happening at the end of the season. I think they're at least going to keep him another year or two. Whether or not I think that that's the correct move is, it's irrelevant realistically. I don't think that they should be keeping him, but financially it probably makes a little bit more sense to hold on to him at least one more season. Last thing I saw in the article was LaVine is reportedly looking to go to Lakerland, primarily due to his connection with Clutch Sports. However, it's still unclear whether the Lakers are interested in pulling off a deal for him. Los Angeles might need to give up a package featuring the likes of D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Gabe Vincent, just to accommodate LaVine's hefty $40 million price tag this season. The Bulls announced on December 6th that LaVine will miss 3 to 4 weeks of action due to a right foot inflammation that will likely keep him out for the rest of 2023. If the trade rumors continue to ramp up, who knows if he has seen his last game as a Bull. And that's scary to think that we won't see Zach in a Bulls jersey anymore, and he'll be leaving on essentially bad terms, as things haven't been great ever since he's been out with an injury, and realistically ever since he walked out of that Miami Heat game after coming back and getting the win. Things have not been good for LaVine and the Bulls, a lot of turmoil there. But it's important that they talked about just there then that those are the players the Lakers have to give up to make up the salary. That's something to think about if they want to give up that value. He has been heavily attached to the Lakers in trades, and that's been the top team that we've talked about here on Bulls Digest because there have been so many reports that have come out between the two. However, I think a lot of it is kind of, just smoke. It's not really a whole lot going to develop of this because I think they're trying to put the Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, the kind of reaction. They're trying to connect those two stories and make it make sense. However, I think right now it doesn't make sense for the Lakers to make a deal, but they could make a deal. I just don't really think they want to give up Austin Reeves. I would be happy with him on the Bulls. He isn't the player of Zach LaVine, but with all those other pieces there, we are definitely getting a good deal in return for Zach LaVine, and that is the value, of course, that you would want to get. However, not be the value that we are going to get because people don't think he's a winning player. The defense is definitely not sought after for sure. And then on the other case, we are losing. So I mean, not only the fact that people think he's not a winning player, but the proof is there since he's been injured, and he has been injured a few times in his career now, that we are not winning. So there's the small sample size showing it as well. This has been your host, Joey Mercer. I hope you enjoyed the episode of Bulls Digest there today. Make sure to go down below, like and comment on the video. A little bit of a longer one there today, but I'd like to talk about 2 different topics with you there, as we did take a break 2 days ago. So I can't wait to see you in the next one. That video will be coming to you tomorrow on Sunday. And this has been your host, signing off.